Corporate America, funding Marxism, Socialism, for profit, for political purposes, or for both. In my last video, I had stated that initially I was surprised and shocked to see corporate America jump on board and provide financial funding and support for Black Lives Matter, especially since it is a Marxist organization that essentially supports the overthrow of our capitalistic form of government. After giving it some serious thought and consideration, I can see where it would be advantageous for corporate America to jump on board and support the Black Lives Movement, something which I will discuss in this video. Hi, I'm Jerry N. Quick, and rather than doing my normal introduction to promote my book, The Mudpuddle Theory, I will put a link below where it can be ordered through Amazon, or you can have any bookstore order it for you. You can click on my icon and it will take you to my YouTube channel where you can find a listing of all my videos that I have posted that cover the same or similar topics that I discussed in the Mudpuddle Theory. Shortly after the video taken by the bystander showing the Minneapolis police officer with his knee on the back neck of George Floyd, the liberal news media picked up the story and the story became headlines. Before all the facts were known concerning George Floyd's death, the liberal news media portrayed George Floyd's death as another, quote, murder, end quote, of an unarmed black man at the hands of a white police officer. As anticipated, because it is election year, the politicians came out against the police brutality and promised again, if elected, that they would put an end to police brutality and the senseless murder of unarmed black men at the hands of police. They further promised to stop systemic racism, racial inequality, and racial economic inequality, something which does not even exist in our modern day society today. These are simply empty promises that are continuously being made for votes. Also, as anticipated, it's brought out the NAACP and other civil rights advocates who saw a prime opportunity to profit from the death of George Floyd. I can't tell you how many fundraisers that I have seen asking for contributions for the NAACP Defense League. The organization that has gotten the most attention is the Black Lives Matter organization, whose purpose was not only for profit, but also to promote their political agenda of Marxism. Apparently, with their beginning around the Trayvon Martin case and with the funding and support of George Soros, they have been able to not only establish various chapters in cities in the United States, but have also established an organization called Black Lives Matter Global in other countries around the world. When the protest riots began in Minneapolis where George Floyd's death occurred, there were also protest riots held in various cities around the United States concerning the death of George Floyd. What was unique about these protest riots compared to other protest riots of the past is that there were a large number of liberal whites who joined in the protest riots. In some cases, it was estimated that there were more liberal whites than blacks who were part of the protest riots. While these protest riots were going on here in the United States, there were also protest riots going on in other countries of the world that protested the way that blacks were treated in this country. Apparently, Black Lives Matter Global was able to coordinate and conduct these protests in other countries. The liberal news media coverage and the protest riots must have gotten the attention of corporate America because I began to see some major corporations start provide funding and providing support for the Black Lives Movement and similar organizations. Since I've been doing business with Amazon, I noticed that on their homepage, they state that they support the Black Lives Matter movement. According to Amazon, they have pledged $10 million over the next several years. I also understand that Black Lives Matter have advocated that they also support the LGBT movement for equality. Since Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, is openly gay, it's no surprise that Apple would support and provide financial funding for the Black Lives Matter movement. It will will also be a matter of time before it becomes apparent that Black Lives Matter is more interested in their own political agenda than the LGBT political agenda. Some others that provide financial funding and support for Black Lives Matter is Walmart, Sam's Club, Bill Gates and Microsoft, Intel, Gatorade, and the list goes on and on and on. Personally, I have limited and or refused to do business with any corporation or business that supports Marxism, Socialism, and or communism. I highly recommend doing business with our local businesses, especially black-owned businesses who have worked very, very hard to start and build their own businesses and have been the ones who have suffered the most from the protest riots that have destroyed their dreams and their hopes for a bright new future. Recently, Black Lives Matter advocated that businesses be boycotted and that no purchase be made on July the 7th, 2020. While I don't remember the exact amount, they claim that blacks spend a considerable amount of money each year and that without their spending for one day, it would be devastating to businesses. This is contrary to their claim for economic inequality. There's no doubt that corporate America is seeing what is going on as a tremendous potential to profit from the death of George Floyd and the protest riots going on, not only in this country, but in other countries too. This is a world economy, and a lot of corporate products are sold worldwide. Based on the strict guidelines of Marxism, Socialism, and our communism, government, which is supposed to be the people, will own and operate the corporations and businesses, and the wealth profits will be distributed among the people. Wealth distribution. This looks and sounds good on paper, but in reality, that is not how it works. Based on this theory, you would think that corporate America would be opposed to a Marxist, socialist, and our communist form of government. When the liberals created the welfare state in the early 60s, the burden fell on corporate America's small businesses and the middle working class to pay taxes and support the welfare state. Slowly but surely, small businesses began to disappear because they could not compete with corporate America and our big businesses. I realize that there may be some of you who may not remember what I'll be talking about concerning our dwindling middle class, but I'm sure that there will be those who will. During each presidential election for the last, I'd say 20 years, the presidential candidates had talked about the dwindling middle class, its effect on our economy, and how they would bring our middle class back stronger than ever, with no success. In 2008, when President Obama was elected as our first black president, he also promised to bring back the middle class. And based on his policies, he too failed to bring back our middle class. Obama was again elected in 2012, and again, no positive results. Probably the most devastating thing that really hurt our economy and almost turned us from one of the wealthiest countries in the world to a third world country was when corporate America and large businesses began to move their business operations to other countries in the 70s, 80s, and 90s so that they could compete and be successful in the world economy. I knew that in order to bring corporate America and big business back, bring back small businesses and the middle class, and to bring down unemployment, that there would have to be some drastic changes made, and that it would take a long time to make our economy strong again and make America great again. Even though I had not voted for almost 20 years, I decided that I would pay much closer attention to the candidates in the 2016 presidential election to see what they were proposing as their agenda if elected. Since I'm not a card-carrying Democrat, Republican, or Independent, my focus was on all candidates. The first candidate to grab my attention based on what he said was Donald Trump. One of the things that he said was that he would reduce the tax rate for large corporations and our businesses. I knew that in most countries where our large corporations, businesses were moving to, the tax rate on the average was a fixed rate of 15%. If memory serves me right, President Trump reduced the rate to a 25% fixed rate and offered incentives to corporations to create jobs, something which was desperately needed. President Trump was strongly criticized for giving his wealthy buddies tax breaks. People need to face reality, and that is that any business, large or small, cannot stay in business if they are not making a profit. President Trump also reduced the individual tax rates and provided other tax benefits so that the average taxpayer would have more money to spend on their families and to help economic growth, something which benefited everyone. My next concern was the trade deficit, which was strangling our businesses trying to compete in a world economy. Well, I won't go into a lot of detail concerning how President Trump has leveled the field of play and has put our businesses in a much better position to compete in the world market. It should be obvious that his negotiations have worked great. Last thing I will touch upon is the unemployment rate and how it has reduced the welfare state. Under President Trump, the unemployment rate has been the lowest since World War II, and according to most economists, the unemployment rate is always low during a war, and we're not even involved in a war right now. Since a lot of people are unemployed, the need for the welfare state has gone down. Now, my question to you is, do you really want to change our economy to a Marxist, socialist, and or communist economy when the economy we have is strong? And while it may not be perfect, do we want to cross the creek on a log without knowing what is on the other side? The Democrat socialists use Canada, Sweden, Denmark, and some of the other Nordic countries as an example, but when you do your research, you will learn that they still have some socialist policies, like the United States, but they have made changes and basically operate under a capitalistic economy. Before you make up your mind to support democratic socialism, research Yugoslavia, who became a socialist country in 1972. After several years of suffering, they decided to get away from socialism, which they did. However, they still are struggling today in 2020 with the damage caused by socialism. Take a close look at Venezuela before going to socialism. Venezuela is the 11th richest country in the world based on their oil supplies. Today, most of their people live in poverty. Food, water, and other necessities are rationed. Russia and China both claim to be socialist countries, but as we all know, they are communist countries. They do not have the same rights and privileges, freedoms that we are blessed to have in this great country. Is that what you want? When you are promised wealth distribution, just remember, there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We are the land of opportunities, and through hard work and dedication, anything is possible. Your future destiny lies in your own hands. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope that you have learned something from this video that will help you understand the underlying causes for our division. I will put a link below where you can order the Mudphone Theory from Amazon, or you can also have almost any bookstore order it for you. Click on my icon and it will carry you to a channel for a complete listing of all my videos. Please like and subscribe below, and when subscribing, hit the bell icon and you will receive a notification when I post any future videos. Not only welcome, but I encourage you to leave your comments below. Through the comments, we can have the conversations, discussions, and our dialogues needed to bring us closer together as a nation and to address and solve the problems that are destroying this great nation of ours. Thanks again for watching. God bless America.